tram station! Get him! Holy shit, Rob. I think those things are changing. They're evolving.
The Callisto Protocol is a game I was really looking forward to, a game that seems like a spiritual successor to Dead Space, even having a lot of the devs behind Dead Space behind this game, including the director Glenn Schofield. But still looking unique enough, okay? I wasn't expecting a brand new Dead Space game, because we're getting a Dead Space remake in a month, so like, yeah. However, I'm a little let down by the Callisto Protocol, and it has nothing to do with it not being a new Dead Space game, or it being too similar to Dead Space. I'll get into that later, but yeah, I'm gonna format this review a little differently, as normally I break it up into segments, gameplay, story, and characters, the other stuff, before giving my final verdict. However, for the Callisto Protocol, I think it'll be easier for me to categorize it with the good, the mixed, and the bad. Also, I just want to give a little disclaimer. This game is very gory. I'll talk about that later. But, yeah, just blood and gore warning. Okay? Anyways, without further ado, let's get into this. Hi guys, DPX here, reviewing today the Callisto Protocol. Now, before we get started, you know what to do. Should like to subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will murder you in viciously gory ways. Yeah, more than one. Starting off with the good. Now, I know I said that the Callisto Protocol disappointed me, but there are things that definitely worked for me. It's not a complete letdown. For one, this game is absolutely stunning, and one of the best games on the next-gen consoles, even though it's a cross-gen game. I've heard that this game is pretty busted on PC. Like, it just does not work, and I heard the Xbox version is pretty buggy too, but on the PS5, which is what I played it on, it looks unbelievably beautiful. The detail on everything, like the snow in certain parts of the game, or drops of blood on Jacob, the main character, staying there visually after you beat the shit out of a fucking alien zombie. Like, visually, the game is a 10 out of 10. I also don't usually talk about audio design when I do my game reviews, but this game's audio design is really top notch. I'll have some things to say about the horror aspects later, but the audio design often added some much needed suspense and tension. I also really like the opening to the game. It really does set the mood and gets me really excited to continue playing. And of course, if you watched the trailers, you saw some gnarly kills. And I don't know about you, but I was thinking, if they are willing to show a man going through a goddamn meat grinder alive in the trailers and unfiltered, what are they not showing us? What are they saving for the game? And I don't want to spoil them, because I think you should see most of them for yourself, but these kills are gnarly. Often I would let myself die just to see how many gory ways the game kills our main character. And honestly, these kills are so gnarly that even if you don't die a lot, these kills alone make the game more suspenseful, because you know that Jacob, just a normal human being, can easily die in horrifically violent ways. Like these kills almost make Mortal Kombat look tame. Yeah, I said that, and I mean it. Not to mention, the cast is very nice too. They got some familiar faces and familiar names, and they all do a great job as their respective characters. There are definitely some highlights to the Callisto Protocol, and I definitely understand why people like it. Moving on to the mix, the first thing that comes to mind that I'm a little mixed on, and really the only thing I'm like really mixed on, is the story. It's not particularly bad, but I didn't find myself caring for it too much. In the Callisto Protocol, you follow Jacob Lee as he is sent to a prison facility on the Jovian moon Callisto after crash landing while on a mission, and finds himself fighting against infected prisoners with an unknown disease, while also finding out dark and ominous secrets of the facility. I feel the premise is cool and definitely intriguing, but there are many reveals and twists and turns that happen along the way, and I just don't find myself caring all too much. It feels like they wanted to make a world like the one in the Dead Space games, how it feels lived in and real, and I just don't really feel that with this game. Not to mention, Jacob as our main protagonist, I don't hate him, but, you know, I don't really care for him too much, and I didn't really care for any of the side characters. There was this one that I found pretty fun, but even then, no spoilers, but still. Again, not a bad story, but nothing too crazy either. Now moving on to the bad, and unfortunately I have quite a few things to say here. I've seen people pretty split down the middle when it comes to the Callisto Protocol. Now, the game was hyped up as like a Dead Space spiritual successor, and I feel like that is a somewhat accurate way to put this game. The Callisto Protocol somehow feels like, and look, hear me out, it somehow feels like it's both trying too hard to be Dead Space, but also trying too hard to set itself apart from Dead Space. It's hard to really explain. I never like doing this in a video where I say something and I can't back it up, so I'm going to try my best, but it feels like the game is trying to have the best of both worlds. It seems like the developers wanted you to feel like you were playing Dead Space again, back again, playing Dead Space, but tried making it different from Dead Space, so the game somehow doesn't feel all that original, but doesn't necessarily feel like it's trying to copy off of anything else. That didn't make, like, any sense. I hope it did. Please let me know if that made sense. What I'm trying to say is, I feel this game has a bit of an identity problem. I'm not saying it's bad because it's not Dead Space, and I'm not saying it's bad because it copies Dead Space. I'm kind of saying both and neither, but that doesn't make the game bad. I'm going to move on to another negative, because that's not really my main issue. My main issue with the game, what really grinds my shit to a boil, is the way this game is designed, and it honestly kind of ruins the game for me in many ways. For one, the way you dodge attacks in this game is very bizarre, as there's no button you press, but rather you move the control stick either to the right or to the left. That is very weird and took some time to get used to. The problem is, even when I did get used to it, this combat system is not designed for fighting any more than 5 enemies at once, which you often find yourself doing. Many times you'll be cornered by 5 enemies and you can't move. This is made even worse by the camera angles, as they are absolutely dog shit. Fuck those camera angles. I don't like saying this because it makes me sound like a little bitch who can't handle like anything, but there are many times where I died, but it never felt like it was my fault. It never felt like I could have played better. In the Callisto Protocol, it always felt like I died because of the poor dodging mechanics and the shitty camera angles that end up being nothing but obstructing. I like a lot of the weapons you can use. This is something I kind of forgot to mention in the positives, but there are many guns. There's a stun baton, which is pretty cool, and a gravity glove that lets you pretty much use the force on your enemies, but sometimes it's fucking dumb and doesn't work properly. You see, the way you use the gravity glove is you press the left trigger button and X on PlayStation or A on Xbox. You do that to pull the enemies, and you press the right trigger button to throw them. But the left trigger button into the right trigger button, the left trigger button lets you aim and the right trigger button lets you shoot. So sometimes when you use the gravity glove and try throwing the enemies, like sometimes you try to throw them off a cliff, I end up shooting the enemy instead. What the fuck is that? That should not be in this game, and I've not heard anyone really complain about that, so maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I really don't think so. Maybe it has to do with like how big the enemy is, but why am I allowed to grab him in the first place then? However, when you get used to the clunky controls and the flawed design of the game is fairly easy. Maybe even a little too easy. There are stealth sections where you can sneak up on an enemy and stab them, but the AI in this game are programmed to never notice you just as long as you are crouching. You could be crouching right in front of them, but as long as the stab command shows up and you press the stab button, they will never notice you. And yes, sometimes they notice you, but it's very rare. So you have a game that gets difficult because the game is designed in a way that doesn't align with what's happening on screen, but also a game that gets easy because the AI are programmed like their prefrontal cortex hasn't grown in yet. But when the game is easy, it's so easy the game isn't even scary. Sure, it's more action-oriented, which is fine, and while there are many suspenseful moments throughout the game overall just is not scary, which is a bit of a disappointment. Now for the final verdict, look, I really wanted to love the Callisto Protocol, I really did. I had it very high on my most anticipated games of the year list halfway through, but it's not a fun game to play because it's either too easy or too difficult, and both are because of how poorly designed the game is. I said this before, but still, not once when I died did I feel at all like I should have died there. What really sucks, though, is that this game does have a lot going for it and does do a lot right. The suspense and tension when it's there is done very well. The game is satisfyingly gory. The story premise is intriguing, and visually, it's a perfect 10 out of 10. But the way the game is designed really ruined it for me. And the game also has a serious identity issue. I feel like it doesn't really know what it wants to be. So in the end, and this pains me, but I'm going to give the Callisto Protocol a 7 out of 10. Now, understand a 7 out of 10 is not even that bad. That's above average. But I think this should have been better. Weirdly enough, though, if you are excited for this game, don't let my review deter you. Because this game is pretty divisive. And normally when a game is divisive, I actually end up being on the side that likes it. This is the rare occasion where I'm on the side that doesn't like it. It is still a bit of a hard sell at $70. I'd wait for a sale if you're interested. Or maybe just wait for the Dead Space remake that, again, comes out in like a month. But if Glenn Schofield and his new team they don't want to give up on this IP, definitely I think they should make sequels, but definitely fix the design. Don't make the dodging mechanics be like you move the control stick. That's dumb. But what do you guys think about this game? Do you guys like it? I'm sure some of you guys watching like this game. Please be respectful to each other in the comments, because I know not all of you guys are going to agree with each other. Have a civilized conversation. You guys can flame me all you want. I can take it, but don't be harassing anyone else in the comments, because this game it seems pretty divisive. Be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, or I will murder you in some viciously gory ways. More than one. Bye, guys!